Hello everybody, I am Conquering History Games and welcome back to the channel, dependent on your situation. Today is the start of a brand new game on the channel. This has been graciously provided to me for free and early access by Paradox Interactive. It is Imperator Rome, the latest grand strategy game from the company. Now I know that there is a lot of questions that a lot of you have about this. I also know that there is already a lot of people who have been uploading, as well as Paradox. They've been uploading, showing their you know, how the game works and things like that. Of course, I'm recording this ahead of time, so while you can ask questions in the comments, it may take some time. It may be a few episodes before I answer any specific mechanical questions in the game. And there's a lot of information that I want to go over here in this first episode, while hopefully still being able to actually unpause the game and get things started. So first thing, let's actually, start up a new game. Some really cool wallpapers. This looks like it's going to go well for the Legion, right? So, as I was saying, a lot of other people, including Paradox themselves, have been uploading different videos of Imperator Rome for quite some time now. So, because so much of what you're seeing already on YouTube is centered around Rome itself or the Italian region, I thought that I would do something really different and actually go for an achievement that's in a completely different area of the world to show that there's a lot more to this game than just Rome itself. Not that I'm not going to play Rome at some point. Obviously, I am going to. But we are going to be going way over here to the east and playing the Maurya Empire. So I'm not going to go over every single mechanic in the game at once before starting us up, but I'm just going to get us into the game. I'm going to talk a little bit about the region of the world that we are in. Those of you who watch my Crusader Kings 2 campaigns, you know that I like to go in, I like to give a little bit of context, historical context for what's going on in my country that I have selected, who is the ruler that I have selected, and just what's going on generally in that region of the world. I'm not going to be going over the entire map. I'll do that in future campaigns. I promise I'll go west later. But for right now, we're going to hang out here in India. Under Chandragupta Maurya, he's the founder of this dynasty. I'll talk more about him in a second. We have an aristocratic monarchy. Our rulers will rule for life. This increases our military ideas, oratory ideas, and has some other stuff going on. Our religion is Hindu, and our culture is Magadhi. Now, this religion is going to change at some point because, as I said, we are going to... Oh, yeah, by the way, we also have we received tribute from these guys, Ativia. But let's just jump into the game, and let me actually talk about first what the goal of the campaign is. We are going to be going for the achievement... or I should say, I am going to be going for the achievement Ashoka's Pillars. Quote, as Maurya, conquer all of India, convert to Buddhism, and have 80% religious unity. Now, as far as I understand, I don't necessarily need to first unite all of India before I can convert to Buddhism. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might do it before, I might do it after. And one of the interesting things, too, about uniting all of India is you then get a formable nation out of it, so we will become known as the Bharatavarsha country. So first, though, let's talk about, again, the context of the world that we are living in. First off, with our ruler. So, as I said before, this is Chandragupta Maurya, who I hope I'm pronouncing that guy's name right, because I've read about him, but I've never heard an audiobook about him. But he's famous for having united quite a significant amount of India underneath his rule. As you could already see, we basically have all of the north, and yeah, we basically already have quite a bit of the north. Now the interesting thing was, I believe that he personally was not a Hindu. He was specifically a Jain, but it's sometimes hard to get proper accounts of these sorts of things. But he also would, like, for example, get into wars with his neighbors. So for example, we have right over here as head of the Seleucid Empire. This is one of the successor kingdoms that followed the death of Alexander the Great. Incidentally, when you're seeing this 450, this is counting from the founding of Rome, so it's been 450 years since that. I'm probably going to be referring to years in terms of BCE and BC. So right now it's 304 BCE. And so Alexander's been dead for a little while here. And as you can see, his successor empires, though, are still the strongest basically, they're the strongest kingdoms in the world right now. And probably arguably the strongest of these is the Seleucid Empire, which is our neighbor and who we actually are about to get into a war with. I did just a little bit of testing just to make sure that things weren't going to break. Anyway, so for example, there were marriage alliances that were created between these two as the Greeks started to pull out of India, because Alexander did have some of this area for a while, but now they're going to start pulling out, or else I'm going to have to throw hands with them or something. But there is, of course, the famous marriage alliance that is written about in Appian's History of Rome, which actually I probably shouldn't be quoting things. Things are going to go long enough without that. But the point is, let me get back on track here. I'm just like so nervous. I'm like nervous excited because it's a new game, and I really want you guys to like it. But this guy, our guy, Chandragupta, was famous not just for uniting so much of India, but also building it up infrastructurally. Better roads, better bureaucracy, irrigation, lots of temples were built during this time. But for all of his greatness, it's his grandson who is the one who's actually called the Great, Ashoka the Great, who the achievement is named after. Ashoka's pillars being pillars that he had made all over the continent, some of which are still standing. Now his grandson had become a Buddhist, even though we ourselves are Hindu. So that's like part of the achievement. So like he became a Buddhist, and he also sent Buddhist missionaries out into different areas of the world and spread them around in India. If you look at the political mode here, I mean the religious mode, you can see that Buddhism does exist, but it's mostly pretty isolated. India is almost completely Hindu in the game right now. So we need to be Hindu and have 85% religious unity. I mean, pardon me, like I'm tripping all over my tongue. We have to be Buddhist and have that 85% religious unity. As you can see, that's going to be a bit of an uphill battle, and I actually anticipate that is going to take longer for us to do than uniting India. Now, let's actually start talking about game mechanics. I'll talk more about who all these people are. Like not all of them, but I'll talk about like who some of these countries are later. Especially the Chola. The Chola are really interesting. So, first off, here's what I'm going to do. There are tons of new mechanics in this game, and what I'm going to try to do is talk about one of them in every episode, at the start of the episode. So, first off, you guys know I like CK2 for the role-playing, but while there is some role-playing stuff going on in here, I do want to emphasize that this is not as character-centered as Crusader Kings 2 is. We are playing the nation, not a person. So the government can change, you could overthrow a monarchy and things like that. That's not what you're focusing on. You're focusing on not the person, but the nation. And more importantly, the stability of the nation. Let's see. It's a relatively simple game. Paint the map, right? But I'll talk about the review stuff later. But you're doing some things like you're wanting to keep an eye on disloyal characters. So if there's people who are becoming too prominent and too popular, you probably don't want them to be in charge of an army. Personally rich characters could become disloyal. They might try to move against you. So you're going to want to still maintain the loyalty of your vassals. So in that aspect, there's some CK2 going on here. But there's also some pops going on here, which I'll get more into depth about later. But for example, here you have your manpower, and so our current manpower is 383,000. We're getting 1,072 each month from pops. Let's see, what should I talk about next? Like, I'm trying to... I should have, like, made some notes up to decide what I was going to talk about specifically. But, like, you know, you have the different types of pops here. So citizens, freemen, tribesmen, and slaves are here in Maru, for example, this province, things like that. But let's... You know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about money. Let's talk about the Treasury. For today's episode, that's the thing we'll discuss. So the Treasury tells you how much gold you have, obviously. And there is, it's showing our math bonus and things like, our monthly balance. Last month was an additional 3664. There's a few things that go into this. First, your tax and commerce are added together. Afterwards, they deduct army and navy maintenance, as well as any fort maintenance and wages that there may be. You could also get gold because you have tributaries or some sort of subject relation. You can also get gold from characters and events. Gold is, of course, very important because that's what you need to recruit your armies as well as your navies. It's how you pay to build buildings. You can use gold to reward characters, and gold is also useful for smoothing over diplomatic relations. If you are in debt, you obviously cannot spend money, although you can. The country won't just collapse if you go into a treasury deficit. So you will be able to keep going, but you're going to take penalties, and of course you can't build new fleets, create new forts, or armies, or things like that. Let's also go over manpower real quick. So the manpower is dependent specifically on how many freedmen or tribes are in the kingdom. That goes back to the pops I was discussing. Every month we get manpower until we hit a maximum, which is possible. So this shows the rate of increase, which I was just talking about. See, our maximum is 383,000. And we're getting a little bit over 1,000 every month, although note how it's also showing how we were going to lose 1,200 to attrition this month. Every time we build a new unit, which we're going to be doing here, I might show you guys how to do that in a second, it's going to be minus 1,000. And then whenever my armies are taking casualties, they are naturally getting it replenished from the manpower pool. The rate of manpower gain and the maximum manpower gain can be changed by laws and things like that, which we will get into later. For now, let's see what we could do as far as getting this show on the road as quickly as possible. So we have a ton of alerts here, and so besides, like I was saying, besides me talking about specific mechanics in the game at the start of every episode, I'm going to mostly just play the game so you guys can see what's going on. I'm not going to go through everything when some stuff is more important than others. Alright, we have a bad research ratio right now. Our citizens are producing 1,000. Alright, gosh, I'm just so tongue-twisted today. Damn, I should just reset. But anyway, citizens are producing 195.38 research points each month, with an output of 2,344 each year and a population of 6,076. We get an efficiency of 38.50 for our research. Maximum efficiency cannot be higher than 300. Okay, so then what we might need to do here, well, yeah, because this is our pop count. You know, we'll look back at that later, but we have an unused trade route here. There are only 0 import routes to our capital. Well, we could have 3. So our capital is right here, so we can get a trade route going of some kind. You know, we have different things that were possible to get. So, for example, we can get iron. Well, actually, we cannot get iron is what I meant to say. And having iron is really good because that lets us build heavy infantry, and it also increases our heavy infantry discipline when we have an excess. We can get horses that will allow us to build light and heavy cavalry, things like that. There's dyes, honeys, all this stuff will give us different things depending on which one different bonuses depending on which one we get. So, I think I might do something like grab earthenware to help with research points. Let me just make sure. Let's see, there's a whole lot of stuff here. We've got salt. Salts could be good. Furs, hemp, wild game. Fish is good for local population growth. We could do elephants to allow war elephant units. I think we might wait on that one though. So how about we pull in some incense so we can call omens for less. Then we are going to... Wait a minute. Yeah. And this is deciding who we're going to get it from. This costs us civic power to do that. So, you know, because it's civic power, and civic power is super important, you're going to be wanting to spend a lot of stuff. We're going to come back to this. We have some units that are lacking in commanders. We're going to wait on that because I'm going to merge a lot of them. We have some starving pops in a few different cities here, and it doesn't look like any of them I can get a trade route going. So what we could do is maybe build some granaries. You'll have to forgive me, you know, I've only had this for a little bit. Yeah, we got a lot of money. Let's get some granaries being built. Alright, whoops. Get all that done. Whoops, no, we already did that. There's too few people for another building here. Well, we're going to come back to that. You know, we got to work on the infrastructure. We are currently not married. Arrange one. Let's go for somebody with high finesse. Look at their traits. So we got somebody who has less charisma but more prominence. Exif ruler. She's humble. She's good-natured. No corruption. She's 16. Nice and young. I think we have a winner here. Yeah, we get more popular. Okay, invention. Now this is some fun stuff. So these inventions are basically bonuses that cost us currently 100 civic power each to get. Once we take one, they'll disappear and nothing will replace it for now. So for example, we have professional sailors, learning on the job, and military artisans. Once I've taken those three, there's no more until our researcher here has researched enough to allow more inventions to be done. Now, I think aggressive protection is going to be the one we want because we are going to be fabricating lots of claims and going through, you know, as we go through the continent. We also have hierarchical haruspization, which is, I think, yeah, this is the one I want. Sacrifices are a standard way by which we may offer our wishes and prayers to the divine. A written code detailing the acceptability of varying sacrificial creatures will assist our priests and people. This will increase omen power. Now, omens are freaking awesome. We can call one down right now. The omens at the moment cost 200, so I'm going to use up all my religious power to take one. Currently, religious unity is 82.8%. We have 1,046 pops that are not Hindu. We'll work on that later. But we have various prayers we can invoke that give us different bonuses. And I think we're going to go with the prayer to Kubera, because that's going to increase our national tax by a whopping 21.10%. And I want a lot of money here early. So we're going to be getting the effects of that for 5 years. Alright, we have some scorned families. The Balika, Kirata, and Kuru ones. I don't think that's a big deal. Let's first think about who our first victim is going to be. Now, I think, as you can see, we're easily the biggest thing around. But, you know, there is the possibility that alliances could be forged. So what we want to do is, I think it's like prison, right? You got to take out the biggest guy first, and I think that is going to be Ashoka here. So, yeah, see, look at their manpower comparatively. It's 39,800. In terms of alliances for diplomacy and things like that, they don't really seem to have anything. So we're going to go after them first with a covert action and fabricate a claim. As you can see, we have 200 oratory power, but we're getting a lot of it from our guy. As you can see, normally we're getting only 2 a month, but our leader is so damned awesome that he's giving us another +4 on top of that +2. So we're going to fabricate a claim on him. For the, it doesn't really matter which one it is because we'll just take it all. So we have that. We cannot declare war for another month though. And actually, let's actually look in depth at how the game is viewing our guy. So he is a scholar, so his martial ability is down, but whenever he's governor, +10% research, but he's a ruler, so +5% technology speed. That's pretty cool. He's wise, finesse +1 to our oratory power, to civic power that he's generating, and the national citizen output is increased by 5%. Very nice. And he is victorious. So his monthly popularity is always increasing, and he gets +20 prominence. Now, another thing that I'm going to probably want to do here is, as we can see, our stability right now is 1, which could go all the way up to 3. And so what I might do, notice how we can change to Buddhism at any time. We just need 400 religious power, but that's going to wait for a little bit, like I said. But we go to the religious tab again. We could at some point sacrifice to the gods. That's going to take 268 religious power, so it's going to take us a while to get that up, but it'll increase our stability, and more stability means more taxes, more research points, better loyalty for our subject states, etc., etc. Anyway, we're over 20 minutes in here, so let's at least start getting toward a war with these people. And what we are going to do is, because I don't think anybody is going to ally with them, or even if they do, I think my capital will still be fine. We're just going to start moving everybody to the south here. You might be saying, well, what about the Seleucids? Well, we should be getting an event here in a minute. And once everybody is closer together, that's when we're going to start thinking about putting a commander on them. There's really no rush to do that. But yeah. Trade routes. Oh, trade routes are gone. Ah, here we go. See, this is what I was just talking about. Now, we could go to war with the Seleucids, and I think we would actually do pretty good, especially if they got into it with anybody else over here in the west. But the thing is, it's a huge empire against another huge empire. We would take a pretty decent amount of land here in the east before they could mobilize, and we can get a probably semi-decent. We can get a nice peace deal. We'd probably be able to bite off a nice chunk here. But it would just be a real pain, and I want to focus on unifying the subcontinent, focus on my internal affairs, let somebody else deal with the Seleucids, and if they're still there later, we'll deal with them later. It's just not worth it for how much we have to put in. But let's actually read this event. Decades ago, Alexander the Great invaded our subcontinent, defeated the local rulers of the Indus Valley. Many things have changed since then, however. The death of the great conqueror has seen his empire divided among squabbling successors, and the meteoric rise of Chandragupta Maurya has transformed northern India. In the past year, Mauryan armies have seized the Indus Valley and are advancing on the positions of the successor king, Seleucus. An emissary from Seleucus is now offering to give this region up in return for a treaty of friendship. So if we do this, Opus will now produce elephants, and we just go here. See which one is Opus. It's gonna, yeah, right over here. As you can see, this is in the Western Empire. So basically, we give them elephants and tell them to go away. And those elephants, like, I figure that's gonna be interesting for a Seleucid campaign, is if you can get this early, you get access to that, which is pretty sweet. And in return, we're gonna basically get several provinces here in the east, or we can say no, Persia is ours. And then we start heading west. I guess in theory we could take the old empire, right? Totally could do that. Maybe another day. Maybe that could be a live stream challenge. Just take the Seleucid Empire in the opening part of the game. But we're just going to accept the offer. And look at that. Look at how much bigger we just got. Also, we have increased in rank. So there are several tiers of power. But by doing this, we have now become a great power. Because we have at least 500 cities. Following special rules can be used. Guarantee other countries, can intervene in wars, can threaten war, can support rebels, can enforce peace. Our capital import routes go up by 2. Diplomatic relations +5. Diplomatic range +225%. Government bonus multiplier +200%. And change governor policy cost -40%. So lots of good stuff there. You know, of course, this is just impassable terrain here, so that's what that's about. But look at how much bigger we just got. Isn't that awesome? So, getting back to it, we're gonna keep going down. Now, we need to really do something about our research ratios at some point. But for right now, like I said, I just want to do a quick war for us. And we could just declare our war immediately here. We also have the show superiority thing here, but we won't talk about that right now. But I just want to get down here, get my armies to the south. As you can see, it takes months for us to get there. But my armies are going to mostly be remaining in the south for the course of this series, because south is where things are. Although maybe I'll send one of the armies and have them go that way. Okay, we have our tributary here who wants to import iron. As we are not currently exporting it, we would gain the following bonus: +5% heavy infantry discipline, and it'll give us a little money per month. Sure, I'm fine with that. It's not like he's going to be able to rise up too much against me. Although 15,000 cohorts is 15,000 men is not nothing. Now, these guys have got, as you can see, 21 cohorts, which is like one of my armies alone is bigger than that. Uh-oh. Here's an event. You know how your leader can shift over time. He's developed an unfortunate tendency to make important decisions on the flip of a coin. This can prove quite inconvenient during times of crisis, so we're now arbitrary, which is lowering our finesse. It's basically canceling out us being wise, as well as lowering diplomatic relations, which is a real shame. Real shame. That's looking, but that's fine. That's just the way it is. Now, our monthly balance is still positive, and I know that we are suffering from attrition, but that's just one of those things we got to deal with for a little while. We're going to wait until we're outside the border of here before we go to war, although it's starting to look like we maybe won't go to war in this episode. Alright, we have some regions that don't have governors since we just took these new areas. So we have the province of Archosia here. Well, let's give him a governor. What have we got here? We have Athendoros Solicilid. He's abrasive, prominent, aggressive, and reckless. His culture is Macedonian, and his religion is Hellenic. Interesting. So yeah, this is one of the ones that we brought in. Well, we don't want anyone like that. Let's get somebody who's Hindu over there for right now. Like Chandragupta Kuru, who's the head of the Kuru family. Let's see, who are the Scorn families? Ah, that's one of them. So he is silver-tongued but cruel and confident. His loyalty is 74%. His popularity is 0.1%. He's 20. He's nice and young. He's got good finesse, no corruption. Of course, it is early in the game. I think we're gonna have him be the governor. Terrific. Confident. Look at that. There's a nice tiger there. Don't you love that kind of stuff? All right. Demand support for air. Interesting. Interesting stuff. Let's see. I'm still trying to, because I want to record all these in time to get them up on YouTube. We're trying to do. We could try to become friends with him, but I think that's going to be fine. We can execute him. We can grant stipends to his family. We'll get an increased allowance. Hold triumph for him. Prison him. Things like that. Also right-click and do this here. Proscribe. Yeah. Anyway, we're just supposed to be changing the governor. So we're taking him. There you go. Now we have another reason, Bactriana up here, which is next to Bactria. Which is an interesting country in of itself. Let's give a new governor here. Who else is a Scorn family? The Kirata and Balika. Check this guy out. He's a bit older. Lazy, coward, unnoticeable, and cold. Ooh, that does not sound good at all. But, at the Balika, here. He's loving, secure, and crafty. Oh, he just wants to have a son. His loyalty is good, but his corruption is at 20%. So, with that in mind, how about the Karata here? Corruption is 0. Health is 100%. A little bit prominent, but good loyalty. Rash, humble, but weak-willed. It's kind of old. We can always use him later. Oh, it's because I'm clicking the portrait. My bad. There we go. We have our governors now. Let's keep coming down here. We still have a lot of starving pops. Building those granaries. Get another one here. Here. Granaries being built. Okay. Sort of helping things a little bit. Just a little bit. Slave satisfied. Fortresses, training camps, commerce, and whatnot. We could be building more units as well, but I think our starting army is plenty big. And I think that's actually enough for today's episode. In the next one, we will start the war against Ashoka and hopefully prosecute it successfully. Thank you for joining me. I'm Conquering History Games, and I hope I didn't sound all too nervous. I want this, you guys to think this game looks cool. I think it's pretty cool, though I can't really review it yet. But in the next one, we will begin our unification process of India, starting with Ashoka. And then once we've taken him out, who I think is the most threatening, in quotation marks, of the nations, maybe we'll start trying to make some cleaner borders and come down this way through the east or something. I don't know. But we will not stop till we have made it to Sri Lanka, barring a Greek war. Speaking of which, are they at war? Some casus bellis against several nations. Really? They have one on me. What is up with that? That's my clay! Well, anyway. We'll see what happens in the next episode. Please subscribe if you have not already, and remember, if you want to support the channel in any way, there's a link to the Patreon in the description below. I'm excited for this new thing on the channel, and also keep an eye out for the other new campaign, which was the one that was voted on in the community tab, which should be coming out, if not today, then tomorrow. See you then. Goodbye.